Greetings, Resident Evil fanatics. It's getting dark out here. Let's take a walk as the darkest of nights falls around us. I hope you don't mind that certain someone in the distance. They'll be joining us today as we continue to explain the unexplainable. Welcome back to the Residents of Evil. I am here once again to share with you some more thoughts, theories, and insights on Resident Evil 8 Village, as there's something strange I'd like to discuss. Last time, we dove into the many inspirations of Castle Dimitrescu, which centers on two themes, Countess Bathory and the Dracula novel. This helped immensely in our understanding of the demo, symbols, and many game files. Tonight, we will be examining two more of the four houses in great detail, House Heisenberg and House Moreau. I am deliberately saving House Beneviento for next time since it integrates so many crucial symbols that it deserves its own analysis. Despite how little information is given on houses Heisenberg and Moreau, this mural suggests that each is the birthplace of a unique type of evil. We have lots of juicy exploration ahead of us. I can only hope that our guest doesn't get too excited. Let us begin. Brace yourself, as this one's going to get scary. Here in the latest Famitsu article, we have some screenshots of the four houses of the village, each with a unique coat of arms. The relationship between the four is ambiguous, but it is heavily implied that Castle Dimitrescu is the elite house of the four, and this is why. Notice how in the recent trailer, Alcina expresses her disdain for someone she calls Heisenberg, who is later revealed to be her younger brother. When she speaks of this man, she carries a very condescending tone, as if Heisenberg's abilities and rank pale in comparison to her own. And notice that she is in direct contact with Mother Miranda, supposedly serving as her first in command, meaning the other three houses are probably Alcina's subordinates. This is also supported by its seemingly impenetrable location on the map, guarded by the main gate puzzle, and it is only otherwise reachable by this suspension bridge. The other three houses seem to feature a myriad of new evils, presumably by using mutated strains of some new virus. As for House Heisenberg and House Dimitrescu, their heads seem to share in the inspiration of the Dracula novel. Much like how Alcina's daughters are almost solely inspired by the brides of Dracula, this Heisenberg figure is an amalgamation of at least two of the novel's characters. Heisenberg seems to draw primarily from Abraham Van Helsing, namely from his depictions across various film adaptations. Notice Heisenberg's small, rounded eyeglasses, long hair, and leather top hat. His trench coat, with his pants tucked into thick boots. These iconic trademarks were popularized by the 2004 Van Helsing spin-off starring Hugh Jackman, as well as the Van Helsing character in the 1992 Dracula film. And in that same film, all of these features are also present, including Heisenberg's rounded glasses in Dracula's human disguise. In this scene, Dracula arrives at the shores of England on a ship and assumes the guise of a human to travel in broad daylight. In this disguise, Dracula's small round eyeglasses and top hat are extremely similar to that of Heisenberg. It's also fitting that Heisenberg is the German house of the four, and Van Helsing speaks bits of German here and there, with a noticeably thick German accent.
Jack, you are a scientist. Do you not think there are things in this universe which you cannot understand and which are true?
Judging from the hammer Heisenberg carries and his long, thin hair, he is heavily hinted to transform into this gargantuan beast. In a previous analysis, we explored just how closely this large beast resembles the Leshy of Slavic folklore. In summary, the Leshy is a shape-shifting beastmaster of the forest. He is often surrounded by a pack of wolves that obey his every command, which is extremely similar to the wolf pack dynamic between this hammer-wielding giant and the beastmen of RE Village. All of these connections suggest that the Heisenberg factory is home to an entire colony of werewolf BOWs, which act as Heisenberg's minions, much like wolves in relation to the Leshy. The Leshy is also famous for his ability to grow or shrink at will, to whatever size he desires. Given that Heisenberg's transformation causes him to grow to colossal heights, this would make perfect sense. It's topped off even further by the fact that the Leshy wields a large club or cudgel as a weapon, just like this monster. This beast also somewhat resembles the iconic werewolf featured in the 1941 film, The Wolfman. But let's go back to the 2004 Van Helsing film for a moment. In this spin-off, Dracula makes numerous attempts to transform men into werewolves and manipulate them to his liking. RE Village seems to entertain a similar hierarchy of monsters, with the vampiric women of House Dimitrescu at the top, and other evils, like Heisenberg and his beastmen, taking orders from them. On another note, Van Helsing himself actually transforms into a werewolf in this film. So, Heisenberg is a tasteful hybrid of various Van Helsing-related elements, and also commands wolves in the way that Dracula himself and the Leshy are able to, and he also grows and shrinks, also in a way that both Dracula and the Leshy are able to. And there's one more curious connection to this particular spin-off movie. This film entertains the idea of vampire offspring, children birthed by Dracula and his brides. The vampire children look extremely similar to the creatures flying around Castle Dimitrescu and on the map as well. They seem to share the base archetype of a large bat, but their heads have a very peculiar gargoyle type of shape, similar to that of Dracula's true form in the film. Interesting. But let's get back to House Heisenberg. The name Heisenberg is shared by a German physicist, Werner Heisenberg. He is best known for his massive contributions to the birth of quantum mechanics, alongside other prominent names during the mid-1920s. One of his fellow pioneers, the Danish Niels Bohr, can explain the significance of the horseshoe in House Heisenberg's coat of arms. Before we get into the story, it's interesting to note that this account is actually from another quantum physicist named Samuel Goudsmit, but was wrongly spread as Niels Bohr's story in one of Heisenberg's books and in later writings. The story goes, Niels Bohr was once visited by an American scientist in his home country, Denmark. The scientist noticed that Bohr kept a horseshoe above his door. He asked, "What is this? Are you superstitious?" To which Niels Bohr responded, "I'm a scientist. Of course, I don't believe in it. But I have it there because I was told it works, even if you don't believe in it." The context and the implications are still ambiguous today due to the many retellings of the story. Some believe that Samuel Goudsmit, as an editor-in-chief, used this analogy to alleviate tensions between contentious authors, to foster unconditional faith in one editor's judgment from another. But regardless, the horseshoe's connection with Heisenberg's circle of quantum pioneers is very apparent and recurring, so the name itself is just an allusion to quantum mechanics, a loose connection to Heisenberg's presumed ability to manipulate the physics around him. But the superstition itself of repelling evil spirits by hanging up a horseshoe can be traced back to the legends of Dunstan, an English bishop dating back to the 900s. Dunstan worked as a blacksmith before becoming a bishop. The devil walked into his workshop one day and asked him to shoe his horse. Though Dunstan knew who it was, he played dumb and agreed to do it. But he instead nailed the horseshoe to the devil's foot, who danced around in pain. Dunstan agreed to undo the nails, but only if he had the devil's word that he would never enter a home with a horseshoe nailed above its door. Judging by the map, as well as the coat of arms, House Moreau may be home to various water-dwelling bioweapons. Some monstrous figure is swimming in the lake nearby, and the coat of arms seems to resemble a mermaid. Given how many folkloric creatures are being incorporated into this narrative, This would be a perfect opportunity to introduce another being from Slavic folklore, the Rusalka. The Rusalka is a malicious entity that takes the form of a mermaid, usually residing in swampy lakes or other bodies of water. Much like the bioweapons in the other houses, this creature is likely another human-animal hybrid, which brings us to the house name. The name Moreau is almost definitely based on the H.G. Wells novel, The Island of Dr. Moreau. The premise of this novel is as follows. Dr. Moreau conducts experiments on various wild animals with the intent of creating man from beast, but his results fall short of his ambitions in nearly every instance, instead resulting in human-animal hybrids, a concept with which Resident Evil is all too familiar.
This serum contains the distillation of a biological code message, a new set of instructions erasing the natural instincts of the animal.
These hybrid beings are able to speak English and display a very primitive level of human intelligence. They are known as beast folk, and the human traits are injected into their bodies via vivisection performed by Dr. Moreau himself. These beast folk come in almost every imaginable form, including ape men, satyr men, which are described as unsettling and satanic by the protagonist, wolf men and wolf women, swine men and swine women, and numerous other forms. Needless to say, many of these creatures fit right in with the shape-shifting, lycanthropic creatures we've seen already. To foster their growth as newly birthed humans, the beast folk follow a primordial set of laws devised by Dr. Moreau. These laws dissuade the beast folk from regressing into their primitive behaviors and are preached by one specific beast called the Sayer of the Law. But despite these attempts at preventing their de-evolution, they constantly grapple with their primal urges to revert to their animal instincts. This narrative would serve as a perfect source of inspiration for a new virologist character in House Moreau, perhaps a doctor that dedicates his entire existence to creating these animal-human hybrids as bioweapons, much like how Marcus initially experimented on animal prototypes in Resident Evil 0. We've seen such mad scientist character archetypes in Marcus and in Birkin. The very premise of Dr. Moreau and his mission fits so perfectly into the narrative of Resident Evil as it is. When the full game is released, a full novel analysis of the Island of Dr. Moreau in conjunction with RE Village seems inviting as a future project. The release of RE Village draws closer and closer. Next time, let's dive into the many symbols related to the fourth and final house, House Beneviento. So, do you believe Heisenberg was inspired by Abraham Van Helsing? Do you think House Moreau will feature a new virologist character like Marcus and Birkin? Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this in-depth analysis video, feel free to check out my personal channel. The link is in the description. Another RE Village analysis will be coming to Residents of Evil sometime soon. Next time, let's dive into House Beneviento and any new information that emerges in April. Until then, be sure to hang up a horseshoe should any evils come your way.